few summers ago, I took a wrong turn off a mountain highway and ended up on a road I almost didn't drive down. And then the trees opened up, and there was this lake, turquoise. Not pretty blue, turquoise like somebody had poured the Caribbean into the middle of the Sierra. I just stood there. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even take a photo for a few minutes. I just looked. That's the feeling I want to give you 12 times today. 12 places in California where the water doesn't look real, and where, in a lot of them, you could actually live. If that's your kind of dream, subscribe and ride along, because this map gets better the deeper we go. Number 12. Twin Lakes. Let's start somewhere almost nobody outside the Eastern Sierra has heard of. Twin Lakes, up above the little courthouse town of Bridgeport, sits around 7,000 feet, and the water is so clear you can lean over the side of a kayak and watch the bottom just drop away beneath you. Two glacier-fed lakes. Upper Twin's nearly 400 acres, Lower Twin a little smaller, raw granite all the way around. Bridgeport itself grew up in the 1800s as a ranching and mining supply town, the orderly, law-abiding place that fed the rowdier gold camps down the road, including Bodie, which is now California's most famous ghost town. The lakes became a fishing resort draw by the early 1900s, and they've stayed that way. These waters have actually produced California record brown trout. People plan whole lives around that. Picture this. It's 6 in the morning, the lake's a sheet of glass, mist lifting off it, and the only sound is wind moving through the lodgepole pines. That's a normal Tuesday here. The folks who fish these lakes will tell you the silence at first light is the real reason they never left. Now, I'll be straight with you. The immediate lakeshore is mostly cabins and rentals. To actually live here year-round, you're usually buying down in Bridgeport, and winters are no joke. You drive for groceries. This is the trade-off entry. But the reward? Solitude almost no Californian ever gets, and it just gets bigger from here. Number 11. Lake Almanor. Now picture a lake so big it has its own gentle little waves. That's Lake Almanor up in Plumas County. 28,000 acres of deep, clean blue with the snow-capped cone of Mount Lassen floating on the far horizon. People call it the jewel of the Sierra, and here's the kicker. It gives you big water beauty without Tahoe's crowds or Tahoe's prices. It wasn't always a lake. This was a green valley called Big Meadows, home to mountain Maidu villages, until a power company finished the dam in 1914 and the water rose. And the name, Almanor, isn't some Spanish word. It's stitched together from the names of the project coordinator's 3 daughters, Alice, Martha, and Eleanor. I kind of love that. A whole lake named like a locket. Summer mornings here are for paddleboarding before the wind picks up, and evenings are for sitting on a dock, watching the water turn pink and gold. The town of Chester anchors it, and the vibe is calm and rooted. Median age is up around 60, so it's quiet in the best way. Here's the part that matters. This is genuinely affordable. Way under Tahoe, way under the coast, with everything from modest cabins to lakefront homes. Nearby, Greenville runs cheaper still, about 15 minutes out. A pension actually breathes up here. The catch, limited jobs, snowy winters, a community still healing from regional wildfire. But honestly, for that view of Lassen reflecting whole and unbroken on still water, a lot of people decide it's worth it. Number 10. Whiskey Town Lake. Here's a fun one because the water is so clean it literally comes out of people's faucets. Whiskey Town Lake, just west of Redding, is a 200-acre stretch of warm, swimmable, crystal clear blue. And a big chunk of Redding's drinking water comes straight out of it. You don't get cleaner than the city drinks it. The name's got a story. Whiskeytown was one of Shasta County's first 1849 gold rush settlements, and legend says it got its name when a mule slipped on the trail and dumped a whole barrel of whiskey into a creek. The dam went up in 1963, and the original mining town? It's down there, under the blue. A whole gold rush settlement asleep beneath the swimmers. Now, here's why I actually love this one for regular people. Imagine clocking out of work and being in clear blue water by late afternoon. Sandy beach, forested ridges all around. Then hiking to one of 4 waterfalls before dinner. Because Redding's a real city, you get hospitals, an airport, year-round work, wild beauty, and a paycheck. And the affordability? This is one of the most attainable inland markets in the whole state. Redding area prices sit dramatically below the coast. A social security check or a remote salary goes a long, long way here. The honest part? Summers are hot and wildfire awareness is just part of life. But that's exactly why that cold blue water feels like a gift in July. Locals joke they've got several gallons of Whiskey Town inside them. They're not wrong. Number 9, Crowley Lake. Okay, this one's strange. In the best possible way, Crowley Lake is Big Eastern, Sierra blue water at around 6,800 feet with world famous trout fishing right on the doorstep. That alone earns it a spot. But the real reason it's here is hidden along one shoreline, a wall of natural stone columns 20 feet tall, honeycombed together, that looks exactly like the ruins of some drowned ancient temple. Here's the wild part. The reservoir was finished in 1941 for Los Angeles's water system, and soon after it filled, these columns just appeared. Nobody knew what they were for decades. Turns out they're the fingerprints of a volcanic supereruption about 760,000 years ago, the same blast that carved out the Long Valley caldera. You can only reach them by boat or a long hike, which is exactly why locals quietly love them. Life here is wide open sky and sagebrush and snow peaks, with Mammoth's ski slopes and Mono Lake both a short drive away. And now, the number that'll surprise you. This is one of the cheapest doors into the entire Mammoth region. Listings here have started around $200K, while Mammoth itself costs a fortune. Wait, let me say that again, because it's that good. 200 grand near Mammoth. The catch is inventory, sometimes barely a dozen homes for sale. High elevation, big winters, and you'll drive to Bishop for real errands. But the people who found it, they're not telling anybody. Number 8, Donner Lake. Everybody's heard of Tahoe. Almost nobody talks about its quieter, more livable cousin sitting a few minutes away. Donner Lake, 3 miles of jewel blue glacial water near Truckee, where the mountains drop straight down into the clear and you can swim, sail, or paddle right from your own neighborhood. Tahoe grade water, a real town attached. The name carries weight. This is where the Donner Party got trapped in the brutal winter of 1846 and 47, one of the hardest survival stories in the West. The area's turned that history into something quiet and respectful. There's a memorial state park right on the shore, and Truckee itself? It boomed in the 1860s as a railroad and timber town, which is why downtown is all gorgeous brick and old rail tracks, and now breweries and good coffee. So here's the daily life. Morning paddleboard on glassy blue water, world-class skiing 15 minutes away, walkable historic downtown for dinner. It's polished but not snobby. Tons of folks here fled the Bay Area and never looked back. I'll be honest, this is the aspirational but real tier. Donner Lake homes mostly run $800K up to $1.5 million, with smaller cabins sometimes near $500K and a recent median around $925K. Not cheap, but the framing that makes it work, it's genuinely less than lakefront Tahoe, for water that's just as blue. Same dream. Relative discount. What gets me is the contrast, a place of terrible survival, now ringed with kayakers. There's a depth to Donner that Tahoe's party shores just don't have. Number 7, Shaver Lake. If you grew up anywhere near Fresno, you already know this one. And you're probably a little annoyed I'm telling everybody. Shaver Lake, up around 5,400 feet in the Sierra, is deep blue water ringed by tall pines, with an actual cozy little village right there. The cabin in the woods dream, but real and surprisingly within reach. It started as a logging town in the late 1800s. The original Shaver Lake was a mill pond, and old-timers still talk about the timber flume that snaked miles down the mountainside, floating cut lumber to the valley below. Southern California Edison later turned it into a hydro reservoir, and the lake we know was born. Now, picture summer here, boating and wakeboarding on blue water. A walkable village with a general store and a bakery, the kind of place where people genuinely know your dog's name. Winter brings snow play, 4 real seasons, an hour or so from a full-size city. That combination is rare, and here's the value story. Listings in the Shaver and Huntington area have started around the $300Ks for smaller cabins, way below the Tahoe corridor, ranging up into bigger Lakeview homes. Because Fresno's close, you're never far from real shopping. The trade-offs are the usual mountain ones: snowy roads in winter, a seasonal economy, not a lot of local jobs. So it's best for remote workers or retirees. But on a quiet blue morning up there, it honestly feels like a place time forgot. In a good way. Number 6, Trinidad. Let's leave the mountains and go to the edge of the continent. Trinidad, up in Humboldt County, is a 1 square mile fishing village clinging to bluffs on California's wild far north coast. And the Pacific there glows this startling clear blue-green around offshore sea stacks. It's the most photogenic little harbor in Northern California, and it costs a fraction of the famous coast down south. The name is old. Spanish explorers christened it on Trinity Sunday in 1775, making it one of the oldest place names in the state. It boomed briefly as a gold rush supply port, and here's a detail that stays with you. A shore whaling station actually operated right in the harbor from 1920 to 1926. You can still feel the working coast bones of the place. Daily life here is a fog rolling in like a movie. Fresh off the boat seafood, redwoods at your back, and coves where you'll see more sea lions than people. The little Trinidad Memorial Lighthouse still watches over the water, and on a clear evening, that blue-green around the sea stacks turns to liquid jade. And the price? This is the most affordable true coastal town on the whole list. The area's average home value has been sitting near the high dollar 500Ks, recently even dipping a bit. For real oceanfront character, that's a fraction of Laguna or Avila. The honest part? It's remote, it's foggy and cool a lot of the year, and jobs are limited. But if you've ever wanted to live wild and quiet by the sea, this is it. Honestly, I think about Trinidad more than I should. Quick thing before we keep going. The next few places are even more beautiful, and a couple are even more unreal than what we've already seen. If you're not subscribed yet, this is the moment. Because number 1 genuinely doesn't look like it belongs on this planet, let alone in California. Stick with me. It's worth it. Number 5, Lee Vining. Now I want to show you water unlike anything else on Earth. Lee Vining is the tiny gateway town to Mono Lake, an inland sea over 1 million years old, 3 times saltier than the ocean, studded with these surreal pale limestone spires called tufa towers rising right out of the water. There is genuinely nothing else like it. The town's named for Leroy Vining, who built a sawmill and ranch on the creek here around 1860, back when the gold rush boomtown of Monoville sprang up nearby, and Mono Lake itself became the heart of a landmark fight decades later when Los Angeles was draining it dry and people fought to save it, and won. Living here means waking up beneath the wall of the Eastern Sierra with Yosemite's high country at your back through Tioga Pass and this vast, mirror-still lake at your feet. The skies are some of the darkest in California. The stargazing will wreck you in the best way. At sunrise, those tufa towers stand black against water gone rose and gold, and millions of migrating birds wheel overhead. It feels less like a vacation and more like watching the dawn of the world. The numbers are kinder than you'd guess. A recent listing here showed a 2-bedroom house at $439,000, and the Eastern Sierra generally runs well below the coast. A retirement income goes a long way with views this dramatic. The catch? It's small, it's high, and Tioga Pass closes in winter. But for the right soul, you'd live inside a landscape instead of just visiting one. Number 4, Avila Beach. Back to the ocean, but this time to the sun. Avila Beach, on the central coast near San Luis Obispo, sits in a rare south-facing cove that's warmer, calmer, and sunnier than almost any other beach in California. While the famous coast nearby is buried in fog, Avila's out catching light, a tiny walkable village, glowing blue water, and a secret hiding in plain sight. It grew as a working port in the 1800s, shipping goods out on long wooden piers. But here's the part most people don't know. In the late 1990s, the entire downtown was dug up and rebuilt after an oil pipeline cleanup. So that charming beachfront you see today was literally reborn from the ground up. The town came back. Mornings are for beach walks with dolphins offshore. Afternoons, you're tasting wine in the SLO Hills minutes away. The historic Point San Luis Lighthouse still stands sentinel over the bay, reachable by a cliffside trail glowing over blue water at dusk. Now, I won't pretend this one's cheap. Recent median sale prices have run around $1.4 million, and the crowd here is comfortable. Median age near 60, healthy incomes. So here's the honest framing: it's not affordable. It's still way below comparable Southern California beach towns, with a small town closeness you literally cannot buy in Malibu. This is the trade your city equity for sunshine dream. And if I just sold a place in LA, I'd be looking at a villa hard. Number 3, June Lake. People call it the Switzerland of California, and for once, the nickname earns it. June Lake is a loop of 4 impossibly blue glacial lakes cupped beneath sheer Sierra peaks, with a tiny ski village tucked right in the middle. It's the alpine postcard fantasy most people assume only exists across an ocean. It's been here the whole time. Here's something I find kind of beautiful. The old gold miners and ranchers from the Bodie era looked at this valley and basically shrugged, no reason to settle. So, June Lake got discovered late as a fishing and recreation haven instead of a boomtown, which is exactly why it still feels small and unspoiled today. Sometimes getting passed over is a gift. Imagine a village with a brewery and a coffee roaster, 4 turquoise lakes within a few miles, and a ski mountain you can practically walk to. In late September, the aspens go electric gold and reflect across the still blue water. And longtime locals say that's the moment, every single year, when they remember why they stayed. Photographers plan their whole calendar around those 2 weeks. The price tells a real story. The median listings run around $715K, with cabins and condos lower. That's well under most European-looking resort towns and below much of coastal California. Inventory's tight, sometimes only a couple dozen homes, and prices have climbed fast. But for this scenery, buyers call it a bargain. Honestly, this is the kind of place I keep thinking about long after I've closed the laptop. Number 2, Avalon, Catalina Island. Now, picture an island. 22 miles off the coast of Los Angeles, there's a town with almost no cars. People get around by golf cart, sitting above a horseshoe harbor of glowing, impossibly clear blue water. Pastel buildings stacked up a green hillside. Avalon on Catalina Island looks like the Italian or Greek coast, but it's California. It's right there. The whole dreamlike feel traces back to one man. In 1919, chewing gum magnate William Wrigley Jr. bought control of the island and poured a fortune into it, finishing the world-famous round Catalina Casino, home to the largest circular ballroom on Earth. In 1929, his vision basically built the town you'd fall in love with. Daily life is salt air and quiet mornings, glass-bottom boats drifting over kelp forests, the whole town walkable end to end. 1 million visitors come every year, and then the ferries leave, and at night the place goes still. The casino glows over the harbor, the water turns black and silver, and with no engine noise anywhere, you can actually hear the soft clink of boat rigging across the bay. This close to LA, it shouldn't be possible. The reality, recent median sale prices around $1 million, plus the quirks of island life. Everything arrives by boat. Costs run high, housing's tight. But think about the trade: a car-free Mediterranean island lifestyle inside Los Angeles County for the price of an ordinary mainland house. For the right person, that's not expensive. That's the deal of a lifetime. Number 1, Emerald Bay, South Lake Tahoe. And here it is, the one I've been holding back this whole time. Emerald Bay, on the southwest shore of Lake Tahoe, is, and I don't say this lightly, some of the most beautiful water on planet Earth. It's one of the most photographed places in the world, and the lake it belongs to is 99.99% pure freshwater, clear, down to around 70 feet, the second deepest lake in the entire United States. Stand at the overlook and the color shifts in front of you. Jade where it's shallow, deep sapphire over the drop-offs, all of it wrapped around a tiny stone-topped island called Fanette. It genuinely doesn't look real. People stand there in total silence. I did too. There's history folded into the beauty too. Right on the bay sits Vikingsholm, a 1929 mansion built as a near-perfect replica of a Scandinavian castle, sod roofs and all, by an owner so obsessed with authenticity she had craftsmen brought over from Scandinavia. It's a castle, hidden in the pines, on the bluest water in California, and here's where it stops being a fantasy and becomes a life you could actually build. Picture this: You wake up to cold alpine air, and by mid morning, you're on water clearer than most swimming pools. You kayak into a bay so vivid it hurts. You hike above that fairy tale island. And in the same season, you ski world class slopes. South Lake Tahoe is a full city. Restaurants, schools, real year round work, around 21,000 people. This isn't a place you visit, it's a place you move to. Now, the part that genuinely surprises people. Despite sitting beside the most iconic blue water in the state, South Lake Tahoe's recent median sale price has run around $683,000 to $695,000. Let me say that plainly. That's cheaper than coastal California and below much of the Bay Area. World famous lake life for less than a regular Bay Area house. Entry level condos and cabins drop the bar even further. Yeah, it really is that attainable. It's not perfect, it's competitive. Winters are real, and wildfire awareness is part of mountain life now. But you'll see those Keep Tahoe Blue stickers everywhere up there, and they're not just merch. They're a half-century old promise people make to protect the bluest water they'll ever live beside. And once you've seen it, once you've stood at that overlook and felt the quiet, you understand exactly why they fight for it. If I could pick any place on this list to wake up in tomorrow, it's this one, without hesitation. So that's 12. 12 pockets of California where the water looks like somebody turned up the saturation on real life. And here's what I keep coming back to. A lot of these aren't fantasies. They're addresses. You could genuinely live in one. So, tell me, which one stole your heart? Drop the town name in the comments because I read them, and I want to know whether you're a turquoise mountain lake person or a foggy blue harbor person. Send this to the one person you'd actually pack a bag and move there with. You know exactly who that is. And if these are the kinds of places you want more of, subscribe and stick around because I've got a whole map left to share. Now go pour a coffee, pull up a photo of Emerald Bay, and let yourself dream about it for a minute. You've earned that.